Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Steve. Thank you for having us. We have a large panel. I usually ask the panelists to sit under their faces, but that would be kind of weird with this kind of double-decker situation, although innovative. So we're not going to introduce people. You can read up there what the names are of everybody, but we're going to look at how we can prove the value of connected TV advertising. How can we get more revenue into connected TV advertising? Can we demonstrate the value? How do clients view FAST, SVOD, SVOD becoming AVOD, all of those kind of things. So let's start with a quick fire round for every panelist. We'll just go down the line. Can you tell me 1 or 2 words from each of you on why the people here should be buying more connected TV advertising?
Yeah, absolutely. It incorporates all of the key elements of effective communications. Big screen, sound on, high attention, high engagement.
Hi, I'm Cassidy from Magnite. I'm the Director of Platform Solutions, and just quickly, Magnite is an ad tech company, and we offer an SSP and ad server, specifically for connected TV. So we're very engaged in the space. Ultimately, why do I think you should be investing in connected TV? It's really simple. There's 3 reasons.
But what if you're only allowed 1 reason?
Pardon me?
What if you're only allowed 1 reason?
1 reason.
Because otherwise, everyone's just going to have the same, the poor guys at the end are going to...
Yeah. Okay.
My headshot's already ruining the whole thing, so don't worry about it.
Okay, I'll take one I think that maybe everyone else wouldn't take. I'll say impact and intimacy. You are in the home of the consumer, in their personal living space on the big screen. And that is not treated the same way that you see an ad on a mobile device or someone's desktop while they're reading news or ingesting other content. So to me, there's impact there.
Thank you. My why is a little bit different because I'm from YouTube, and we're the largest ad-supported CTV streamer. So you want the audiences and the engagement, that's why you come here.
Cool. I'm Phil from LG, and I'd say, for me anyways, we're able to drive true incremental reach to linear and help extend those audiences into the household.
Doug Brodman with Netflix, kind of similar to the YouTube answer, but at Netflix our goal is to entertain the world, which is no short order, but with that comes the ability to engage audiences every single day across a wide variety of content and represents a huge opportunity for brands.
Okay, great. So some different answers. I've not heard intimacy before, so that's good. So is it worth paying a premium for? And we've had a discussion today about what premium is. Is it worth paying a premium price? And can we move money? So Samsung was talking with us about moving money from linear TV to connected TV. Maybe we could talk about moving money from digital display, from online video, from social media, from those sort of platforms with massive reach, but maybe into connected TV. So, Deb, what do you think about that?
I think a lot about that. Literally, it keeps me up at night sometimes, just frustrated with how much money is being wasted on Meta with 6-second video. And you ask if connected TV is worth paying a premium for. Are you even paying a premium? If you think about what a view counts as on Facebook, which is, I believe, 1 second, and you're paying $3 for that 1 second versus the 25, 30, 35, 40, whatever, dollars that you're paying for almost 30-second view, full view on connected TV, you're not really paying a premium. You're getting the audience's full attention and engagement on your ad. You're actually able to communicate your message to them in a way that has impact and that truly resonates with them. So let's stop going for price and start going for value and really think about keeping money in broadcast because it does the same thing as connected TV, right? Total TV, yes. Total video, not so much.
Okay, Susan, how would you explain the value of connected TV compared with social video?
Sure, let me lean forward. These seats are very deep.
Those seats are very comfy.
Uncomfortable. One of the smartest people that I ever worked with in the Google and YouTube ecosystem said that if you're going to pay for premium, you need to get premium results. And we do a large body of work every single year to help our advertisers and our partners understand what investing in YouTube Premium actually does to drive their business outcomes. So on the topic of investing in paying premium, yes, and we want to prove out what that's actually doing for our businesses. With regard to social video, I'm in the camp where engagement and watch time and engaging audiences with content that they're really passionate about is what is going to drive our business outcomes. So whatever that shift needs to be, I want to drive businesses. I don't really have another comment about where it lives.
Okay, but what is engagement?
Engagement could be time spent, likes, watch time, more videos. One of my favorite things that I talk about, and I live this, and I'm sure everybody in this room lives this, is that when you see something kind of in the physical world and you have those curiosities, you want to learn more about it. And where do you go to learn more about it? You go to YouTube, and sometimes we call it the YouTube rabbit hole, where you find out every single detail of the topic that you wanted to know about. And that's a really good proxy for engagement.
Okay. Doug, how can we move video revenue from video to connected TV?
I mean, I think a big part of it that we look at across the market is that the marketplace is going to tell you where to find your audience, right? You look at what's happening, some of the slides we saw earlier in terms of video consumption and where they're landing, it's going to tell the story for you. So for us, it's about, once we know that those eyeballs are coming, it's about keeping them there. So that's why the content ecosystem inside of Netflix and how much we produce and how much we release and the algorithms that keep our fans engaged is so important. So as we build our scale and we're able to stack up from a numbers standpoint, we know that the content's going to be there to keep our audiences engaged for a sustaining amount of time. So for us, it's like we're in this growth period. You know, we're telling the story of when audiences now come into Netflix and an ad-supported plan that we've now launched, they stay. Right, so we can start to tell that story around the transition of, of consumers into the platform, and the data is now starting to back that up to kind of enhance our content perspective that we take.
Cassidy, you have online video as well.
Yeah, I think it's clear to everyone, budgets are shifting. It's not just OLV, it's not just social, but you also ask about the value of buying connected TV, and I think the answer to this one's really simple. Was it worth buying TV for the past 60 years? And I think everyone in this room is unanimous in saying yes. Sure, there's differences between traditional broadcast and connected TV, but the value proposition remains. And to me, that's non-negotiable. We talk about the differentiations there. We've come a long way. And so one thing we do, if you're to activate a campaign at Magnite, we can run a brand lift study, for example. You can measure the impact. So there is measurement here, and we can prove the value. And if you're a marketer, it's good you're asking that. You should be asking that.
So what kind of metrics can you show?
Yeah, great question. I think I'll say we've come a long way over the past 2 years in particular. If I think back to last year's event, I believe measurement was a very contentious topic here. And one of the obstacles or barriers for connected TV. Right now, I would say there's 3 areas that have substantial impact. If we look at measurement and ROI, we worked on a study with Innovid and ANA. And in that study, when advertisers activated connected TV budgets, we saw a 80% increase with brand engagement. We saw 25% higher conversion rates. We saw 40% improvement metrics on their ROAs. There are numbers in connected TV. Another one would be attention. We're talking a lot about attention metrics. There are tools to measure this, and not only measure, we can optimize against it. At least we can. So there's enhancement. We've come a long way. I'm not going to say we have the full solution here today, but we've made great progress, and we're on that trajectory to deliver more.
So that's great, because there's been lots of conversation today about attention. Measurement remains contentious, I think, in every market, but lots of conversations today about attention. Can anyone else on the panel measure attention? Or is working, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot to measure attention, which is super important when you're trying to prove out the value of connected TV. But I think what we're also trying to do is show how and why attention actually is the key to unlocking some of the lower funnel metrics like consideration and like purchase intent. So we're not just measuring attention for the sake of saying, look how engaged your audience is. We know audiences are engaged when they're watching CTV or TV. They have been for years. Tim Hortons, Ford, name a big blue chip brand, was built on television. We all know that. But having and needing to sort of prove out with measurement how brand building actually also helps you get in the hearts and minds and wallets of consumers is really the area that we're focusing on the most at Media Pulse and Blue Ant.
Okay, and then can you show maybe Susan or other panelists the impact of connected TV on other media channels? I'm thinking, Susan, you've got lots of channels.
Yes,
other media.
We were talking about this backstage about how what we do to help connect all of the different Google properties and how they all work together. And it's critical for us to align our work to our clients' business outcomes. And that helps us understand what we are doing in the upper funnel, what matters to our clients in the upper funnel, and how we connect it to low funnel outcomes. So business outcomes are a priority for us, and we're moving away from reach as a proxy for opportunity sizing and really aligning to business outcomes for that opportunity sizing.
And how do you do that, though?
Well, you align with what clients care about. So, I mean, every single brand in this room has metrics that they care about, whether it's sales, whether it's revenue, profitability, et cetera. So it's figuring out what our clients care about, what data that we have that aligns to that, and marrying all of that work together to give you a full picture of what investing with YouTube and what investing with Google, what that actually gives back.
Yeah, so I think that seems to be the way that major broadcasters are going. So, you know, Kate Waters from ITV spoke at the Future of TV Advertising Global and said, clients don't want to buy drill bits, they want to buy holes. So you're helping clients actually get the outcomes, not just the attention is obviously very new as well, but actually.
Yeah, attention results, they matter, and we do a body of work, again, with third-party partners to help show what attention on YouTube, attention with Google properties actually is. But to your point, yeah, it's the outcomes, and we are laser focused on that because we want to be able to say, you invest $1 here, it gives you 5, 10, 15, whatever that number is, whatever your goal is, you get it when you invest in a certain way.
And anyone else on the panel looking at the influence on other channels or outcomes?
Yeah, so I've had experience in running things like brand lift studies, of course, like Cassidy already mentioned. And one of the things I observed is that it's just a larger screen, right? If you have a 75-inch screen, the results are always going to be, they're going to recall it better, the ad, and they're going to recall the brand much better. And I think that's what we're here to do. So if I compared that to some of the other devices that were a part of the studies, I would always see at least a 6% lift over those other ones. So if our objective here, and everybody here, is for them to take away a message, it's go big or go home.
I want to add to this too and just say that, you know, we know people do spend a lot of time on social and their phones and you know, online in general. I think one thing that we're doing, you know, at Media Pulse, not dissimilar to Google, though Google we are not, certainly. We are trying to experiment and understand the value of having first exposures on the big screen, right? We have all the data, we know that it drives attention and impact, and it can push people down the funnel. So what we're doing, and I think also sort of my message at the beginning about lifting you know, some of your investments out of Facebook, maybe it's just using those investments a little bit more wisely and a little bit more strategically. So we have a suite of products called TV2. And it's basically first exposure on CTV specifically, and subsequent exposures on different devices with different ad formats, newly just launching TV to social, funny enough. So through this kind of you know, retargeting essentially, we're able to see the effect of someone having watched a 30 or 15-second spot first in an environment like CTV, and what that will do to their purchase behaviors and their intent down the line once you get them again on other devices.
So other devices and maybe on online video, other
Correct.
formats?
That's right.
Okay. Well, then do we need traditional measurement?
Yes, I mean, you do still need traditional measurement. I mean, it's.
So, Doug, do we need
Listen,
numerics?
we're at the very early days of building an ad solution at Netflix. So we are literally talking to every measurement partner around the globe across every different facet of the funnel, whether it's awareness, consideration, and all the way down through to purchase. And I think as we're building our audience, we're watching things like engagement, we're watching things like time spent. We know even in this market, in Canada, consumers are spending an average of 41 hours a month just watching Netflix content. That's a great baseline. Then what are they doing? So we have to measure at the top. We do need fundamental measurement to talk about audience reach and engagement. And then as we build that up, you start to see the actions you can get consumers to take as you align them to content and to an ad experience that's beneficial to the brand. We spend so much time being very particular with Netflix in terms of things like ad load and frequency. Our consumers only get 4 to 5 minutes of ads per hour. The maximum pod length is 75 seconds. It is very, very clean. We want to make sure the brand comes through in the right light, juxtaposed to the right content. But every element of measurement across that ecosystem, I think, is important, especially as we launch a new business. We need to have the foundational principles to then go and build the next opportunity that we can as we get closer into action that brands can see.
So you do need to be engaging with the measurement.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd just probably add to that, like measuring what, getting really clear on like what it is we want to measure, because absolutely anybody on this stage, a lot of the partners out there can give you something back. It's whether or not, like Wade mentioned, like what's the value in what we're providing you back? Like, is it how long they watch for, what the type of content they're watching? Does it overlap with audiences who are interested in sports? Like, what is the key goal you're trying to solve for, right? Or key question rather, and does the measurement sort of fit that bill? I think the truth is, like we've all observed in this conference so far, there is fragmentation, but we know something that you probably don't, so maybe consult us and we can give you some stuff.
There's also this element of members, I think, like we call our customers or our members or fans. As we've introduced advertising, we want to see how receptive they are. So it's not even yet about measuring brand impact in some instances. It's like, is the Netflix fan kind of ready to receive your advertising and have it be a positive experience, right? They've signed up intentionally to receive ads. Like, what is that impact that it's having on them? So there's the brand side of it, and there's also like our own consumers as businesses that we're trying to measure that impact as well.
Yeah, go on.
If I can add, coming from the tech side of things, we were built for connected TV. And so we actually factored in a lot of the issues that exist in the CTV environment. So fragmentation, competitive exclusion and separation, and that user experience is critical. I think the part that we can bring with CTV that maybe we weren't able to do with linear is this sense of A/B testing. And when I think of the CTV clients that we work with, like the integrity is there. We have top talent. We have strategy. We're aiming to deliver this premium experience for users. I think that's non-negotiable again across the board with all the partners we work with and who are in the industry. Like talking about the user experience, you can run A/B testing to see, is this the right sequence of ads to show in a user session? And getting that measurement in real time, that's an advantage that we didn't have before. I think it's really important to make note of.
So we're sticking with the point about user experience. So we heard from the panel of buyers this morning about the issues around frequency and the poor user experience, the same ad over and over. I see that as well in my market. So how can we deal with frequency? I'm going to ask you, Doug.
Sure.
Do your customers, how do you manage the user experience and frequency? Can you help Tracy from Bayer with her request to not have the frequency issue?
Yeah, I mean, we look at it all the way down through if it causes churn out within our ad plan, right? If we're hitting people with too high of a frequency, like as we launched the business, we looked very explicitly at what the right levels were to make sure that members stay engaged and they're not like, I have to step away from this, it's too much. So we have caps down to the creative level, down to the user level, per day, per week, per month. And it's something that we look at with every single new ad format that we introduce. So it's not just your standard 15s and 30s. We're looking at things like pause ads or ads that we serve as you're having a binge watching experience on Netflix. How frequently can we serve those things to make sure the consumer experience stays positive? And that's a huge part of how we're thinking about the evolution of advertising on Netflix, especially as we look at things like live events, right? We've got the NFL coming this year. We've got a lot of entertainment events that we do. We've rethought the commercial model for almost every single one of them. It's not just standard ad pods. We're looking at different integrations and features, all through the lens of the consumer experience. So that's huge. And then the last thing is, as we've launched, a lot of creators that came to Netflix initially came to the service creating their shows, their beautiful shows, with the idea that there would not be any advertising. Believe it or not, many producers produce shows, knowing when a break is going to come and knowing when a pod's going to come. So we actually used AI technology to find organic breaks in the content when the right ad positions could be served. And it's not always a pod of 3 commercials. It could be 1, it could be 2, based off of the right break in the content. So we've been very intentional around where we're placing the advertising, alongside of what the consumer experience is from a frequency standpoint.
I think you get bonus for the first mention of AI on the panel.
I was
You wanted to do it?
I wanted to jump in. I wanted to say AI
Susan,
first.
give us your AI perspective.
There's 2 really quick things. On the topic of user experience, we also, this is where AI plays into it. There are ways to serve content to audiences based on what they are willing to consume. So we're not just pushing a 15 or pushing a 30 or pushing a 6 or whatever the ad unit might be. We are learning what consumers want to watch to give them the most exposure to the creative that you are making. You are spending good money making that creative, and we want people to watch it, and we want people to remember what you actually said to them. So that is the role that AI is playing in the user experience. And to the point of frequency, we know what the frequency goal should be on a weekly basis for you to maximize your overall ROI. So consolidation in DV360 is something that we talk to our clients about, because we know we can reinvest any type of overuse of frequency to make sure that money is smarter and it's going to audiences to maximize that ROI.
I would also just add on the DV360 note too, because I used to work in platforms. I would say a real potential solve for that is the problem we have is we're not sharing identities. So your user is very different from my user because my user is based on a TV and yours is based on a subscription. But what we can do is create maybe packages in a DSP and have a frequency cap at the advertiser level. That way, whatever sort of signifier you're using for your potential household, it could get capped in that way. I think the truth is it's very, very hard to control at this moment, and what you can do in organizing how you buy might change the outcomes that you're going to see in the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard that a lot from the buyers as well in the last couple of days, saying that it's so hard to buy, it's so fragmented. How can we help with that?
I can help with that. Tracy, please come find me. I would love to start a club. I think technology plays a huge piece in this, and it really comes back to being built for connected TV. Yes, this industry is fragmented. You need a tool that can consolidate your ad tech stack. So if you do have to use multiple ad servers, bring that into one house. Have a holistic view of your inventory. Manage your demand connections through that one center point. When you have that, you can address frequency, you can address reach, you can address competitive separation, you can address deduped ads in an ad pod.
So Cassidy, I'm going to ask you all, can a buyer come to you and say, I want to buy this specific ad break or this specific program, or is it much broader than that?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's, we can go broad, we can go granular. If you're using the right tools, you can get down to the ad slot. So maybe just a level set on vocabulary. If you're traditional television, you think of it as a commercial break. In connected TV, we call it an ad pod. And the slots within the commercial break are what we call ad slots. And you can actually target down to being the first ad in a commercial break or the last or somewhere in between. With the right tools in place, you can also target somebody within their streaming session or watching the same piece of content. This opens up possibilities in terms of narrative storytelling, and then absolutely finding the right place at the right time, layer on addressability or ACR data. You can do incredible things. The possibilities are really endless.
Yeah, Phil, what about with you, with people buying the specific? How can they target and can they buy the specific break?
Yeah, so from, let's look at total TV. I heard that word today and loved it because I never knew what it was. So if we're looking at linear, you're going to be doing your linear buying. At the household level, we have technology called ACR, automatic content recognition. What it does is it's basically observing what's rendering on the screen and listening to what's happening on the screen, not to you. It's not Alexa, it's a joke. It's a joke. But what I would say is we take into account what's happening on linear, and then we can tap into marketplaces, much like Magnite can, as well as our owned and operated fast channels, LG, and take into consideration how much exposure did this TV ID get for this particular brand. So we're trying our best based on the TV ID to make matches on inventory to account for that. Now, what I will say, admittedly, is it's not going to account for this, and it's not going to account for this. There are certain, and that. It's not going to account for absolutely everything, but we know that we're not necessarily consolidating all of our users into one pod. So what we can do is look at what are our closed ecosystems that aren't sharing IDs right now, what are our open ones, and they can map to the TV, not to what the bid call is going to pass.
So can you show incremental reach?
Yeah, 100%. So what we can do is use the data from the TV, the ACR data, and say, hey, this is how many ads were exposed on this TV in linear. Here's the total viewership as a result of LG's efforts. And then here's the overlap between the two, and the job is to kind of mitigate that. And then here's the unexposed. And the idea behind the unexposed is, okay, like I said before, we know something you don't. Here's what all those users kind of had in common. Here's what I recommend next time, is maybe try layering in a particular audience because they had a big correlation in indexes. Or maybe it's something a part of our media mix. You know, we have our native home screen, excellent driver to our fast channels, because sometimes people just, I don't know, they don't know what they want to watch. So tell me what to watch. The average user spends 8.6 minutes on our home screen. So if I can direct them to a channel that I know we're going to get a match to, then I would do that.
Okay. Turning back to Netflix, so you're saying it's early days but going well. Have you can target specifically to a specific program? I can say I want the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, I mean, right now, today, we do have the ability for brands to align to specific shows.
Okay, to shows, but not the break.
Say again?
Can they advertise in the specific point in the show?
Yeah, well, right now we run a very specific pod style. So when you buy a position against a show, you get the pre-roll position, and then targeted media throughout the buy. We are about to launch our Netflix ad suite in Canada. It was the first market that we're going to be launching in, which is going to bring forward some advancements as early as Q4 for things like mid-roll targeting within the show. We can also bucket in by genre. Day part, we saw that primetime stat before. We know a lot of our viewing happens in prime time, so if we want to consolidate viewing in those moments, we can. But there is the ability to buy by specific show, and we're starting to create different ways to surround, I would say, subsets of shows that brands really want to triangulate around versus going as broad as genre.
Because can you get too granular? Do you have enough inventory with Netflix?
We are open for business. We have as much inventory as you guys would like.
You have, your ad-funded tier has enough inventory?
Yes.
Have you considered giving it away for free with even more ads?
No, I think we've seen, what we've done over the course of our launch is we've actually reevaluated the plans we've offered to our members. Initially, when we launched the ads plan, we had 5 different options. That's far too many. So now we've got a premium plan, we've got standard and standard with ads. We're looking at things like bundles. We've done them locally here. We're doing them domestically in the US. We're doing them internationally in other markets where we're offering value for people to come into the plan. So I don't think we're looking at it as like a free option, but we are looking at ways to make it more accessible, I would say, to a wider audience.
Okay. I'm going to come back to YouTube and Google. How are you, we've heard a lot today about premium. How are you defining premium? Are we all offering premium, or do you have a different premium?
I am so excited that you've asked me this question. I answer this question almost on a daily basis, and normally I'm within close proximity of the people asking the question, so I can see the faces that you make when I answer this. And it's either a good or a bad thing. Premium, let's just talk about the modernization of how we talk about premium. Premium is not production quality, it is all about audiences and how audiences are engaging and how do we find those audiences to deliver our business outcomes.
Can't hear it.
The acoustics in this room are good, but also not good at the same time. All about audiences. And let me just go back a little bit and give you some history. Like when we think about buying, and I've been in this industry for quite some time now, like no one ever asked me about should I buy West Wing or should I buy CSI Miami because of the production quality. What they asked me is how do I find the best or the most of my audience to deliver what I need to deliver from my brand. And YouTube has that in spades. We have the most eyeballs and we have humans engaging with content that they are truly passionate about. We have a thriving creator ecosystem based on transparency and authenticity, and traditional celebrity flocking to YouTube to engage new audiences and to engage longtime fans. So again, I say the modernization of the definition of premium has to happen so that we can help our clients, help our partners achieve their objectives in a way that's going to help the ecosystem thrive, and YouTube is at the center of that work.
Anyone have a different opinion on premium on the panel? I'm looking at you, Deb.
I will not fight you. It's fine. You can challenge me.
I don't know that it's,
Yeah.
I don't know that it's like a different definition. I think it's dependent upon the platform. I mean, if you look at Netflix, we have 4 of the biggest scripted shows of all time returning next year between Wednesday and Stranger Things and Bridgerton, like Squid Game. These are massive global shows, and I would classify them as premium. We also produce dozens of shows per quarter. Some of them don't hit, but then we have massive global monsters that like land. So just because it doesn't hit, would you call it not premium? No, I mean, people are still watching, and we've got the recommendation algorithm to make sure we're putting the right content in front of the right people, and some people will like it. So I don't know, I think it depends on the platform that you're out representing.
And we also complement each other.
Yeah.
Like everything that lives, like, and I'll use Bridgerton as an example, outing myself a little bit. Yeah, I like it. We see that. We see those 16 episodes or however many episodes, and then you multiply the watch time that exists on YouTube of clips, of reruns, of wanting to learn every single thing that we can about these characters, the teasers, the trailers. So the world complements each other. And the content, again, it's the audiences who are determining what that premium experience is.
I'd also just add, like, it also depends on opportunity, right? Like shows like that, there's great opportunity for, let's say, integration or key sponsorships to be associated to a show for a brand. But I would also say that, you know, there's eyeballs there for a reason if a show is on, right? So at LG, like we launched our own fast channels and people picked it up really quickly, even quicker than we thought in Canada. So there's obvious need for direction to be watching something, enjoying content, like you mentioned, that's created by creators. But we also have a bit of both. So we launched a channel with Dave Chang, Celebrity Chef, and we see that as well. It's one of our fastest growing channels. So I think from an opportunity perspective, brands can get on board with things like matching to the audience I want to match with, but also looking contextually and saying, this is a great show that I want to have integration with.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with anything anyone has said.
Why not?
And maybe I am.
I think you are.
Maybe I am. I think to have one word that's the holy grail and that being premium content, that might be limiting us a little bit. Like no one is denying that YouTube is a massive platform with a huge audience, with people that care about the videos that they're watching. Is it the same as a $1 billion production like Stranger Things? Abso-fucking-lutely not. It's just not. It's not. But hold on. But as a brand, you also get to decide where you want to show up and who you want to speak to and in what way. Yes, you want to be next to Stranger Things on Netflix or something awesome like Yellowstone on Paramount Plus or any plethora of premium shows that exist in the CTV ecosystem. At the same time, you may also have a social strategy that leans into Canadian YouTubers or recipe content on YouTube
on that
or
point,
anything.
Deb, so I don't want to cut you off, but running out of time. So on that point, let's talk about Canada and let's talk about quality production in Canada. So there's been a lot of conversation the last couple of days. How can we help agencies invest more in Canadian production? So let me just ask you, starting with Netflix, what are you doing to support Canadian industry?
So we've produced, we've put roughly $3 billion into local production since 2017. Movies like The Adam Project, Mother with Jennifer Lopez, shows like Ginny and Georgia. So producing content locally and putting, hiring people both in front of and behind the camera is really important.
And do you have quotas for that?
Not quotas. I think it's right now, we're in the early stage. 2017 is not that long ago. I mean, we're just early days of investing, but I think we've acquired Animal Logic, which is a studio for animation, which is based out of Vancouver. They did Leo with Adam Sandler. So we're making moves, I think, in terms of our acquisition and then shows that we're greenlighting and producing. Remember, we did have a strike for a little bit of time. That's going to continue to accelerate, which is good. And we've also set up an office on the business front in Toronto as of 2021, which is where our ads business is growing out of now.
Susan?
We run an economic impact report every single year to understand how YouTube contributes to the Canadian economy. And the last impact report said that we contributed $2 billion to Canada's GDP. We also have over 35,000 full-time jobs for creators in Canada. So we give back. We really care about contributing to the Canadian ecosystem.
Deb, you get the last word. Contributing to the Canadian industry, premium.
Yeah, I mean, Media Pulse is owned by Blue Ant Media, which is a Canadian content creator, production company, distributor, and I know we're probably going to talk about this more in other panels, but I think that the city, the country we live in will look very different, and not in a good way, if we don't continue to support local media. And that's not just for the sake of it, it's because we as consumers need to have our own voices heard and expressed by our media. And so that's...
Okay, I don't think we could end on a better note. So please join me in thanking the panelists.